I was 18 when my life changed with a single crumpled $20 bill. My parents didn't argue, didn't plead. They just handed it to me and said, "Your sister deserves the future, not you." Their words landed like thunder on wet pavement. My father's voice carried the sharpness of steel. My mother's hand was icy when she pressed the bill into my palm, and the door clicked behind me like it had sealed the verdict of my life. Rain soaked my clothes, my suitcase heavy and unyielding at my feet, and the dim porch light above me buzzed its last, flickering farewell. 5 years later, that same light flickered again, but this time I was behind the desk. And the one asking for a chance was her. My sister. Before I take you further, I have to ask, where are you listening from? You're not alone if someone ever told you that you didn't deserve a future. Our house in Bloomington always smelled like lemon cleaner and engine oil. Mom's obsession with appearances, Dad's fixation on control. From the outside, the Avery family looked ordinary, even pleasant. Inside, it was a quiet hierarchy. Leah on top, basking in all the attention, and me somewhere below the fold. Dad, Martin Avery, ran a small auto shop after leaving his teaching job. Sweat, he said, proved your worth. Mom, Elaine, kept the books and her emotions alike, neat, precise, and cold. Leah was their miracle. Bright, articulate, polished, a père major with a smile that seemed to make the sun rise in the room. Every compliment in that house curved toward her like light bending to its source. My place was a folding chair at the edge of the dinner table, cold metal, unsteady legs, easy to push away. When Leah turned 16, she got a used Honda with a red ribbon on it. I got a bookstore gift card. Mom smiled. "You love reading, right?" I muttered a quiet thanks, pretending the burn in my chest didn't exist. Years passed like this. Silent comparisons. Small reminders. Until the day the blue university envelope arrived. For a fleeting moment, I allowed myself hope. I had worked after school, tutoring kids, fixing old appliances, saving every dollar. Indiana State had accepted me. Not a full scholarship, but enough to feel seen, or so I thought. Dad didn't look up from the newspaper. "We can't pay for 2 tuitions," he said flatly. Mom's sigh was the sound of inevitability. "Leah's pre-law is already expensive. Be realistic." Realistic. The word felt like chains around my chest. I tried to explain I could cover the rest. His voice sharpened. "Then cover all of it. You're 18. Time to be independent." And then, Leah's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, smiled, and said softly, "She's overreacting." Overreacting. That was the spark. Years of swallowed words, of silence as punishment, ignited in my chest. I finally spoke. "You've never even asked what I want." The room froze. Mom's hand trembled once. Then she pressed a crumpled $20 into mine. "Be independent," she said. Dad didn't look up again. I packed that night. Rain met me on the porch, soaking me, searing me with the finality of goodbye. Leah watched from the window, blurred reflection, silent as ever. The first nights were brutal. Cold metal benches, rain splashing with each passing car. The ink on my acceptance letter beginning to blur. By midnight, even the streetlights seemed to shiver. I didn't have a room, didn't have a plan, only determination. Then came David Reed. A kind stranger, gray-haired and gentle, who gave me his jacket, called for help, stayed until the ambulance arrived. In the sterile hospital light, I felt the sting of being unknown. Name Scarlett Avery. Address, unknown. 2 days later, discharged, weak and trembling, I found Haven House. Ruth Nolan, the shelter's head, gave me one rule. 1 bed, 1 lock, 1 chance to rebuild. And so I began. Floors scrubbed, sheets folded, bathrooms disinfected. My hands cracked, but the work felt like proof. Every small task, every careful action, reminded me I existed. Then a handwritten help-wanted note at Alvarez's diner. Coffee, burnt toast, a rough exterior that didn't pretend. Elena Alvarez gave me a chance. No experience. Learn fast. I started with syrup bottles, moved up to managing orders, tracking deliveries, fixing chaos. The diner became my classroom, the shifts my lessons. Weeks turned to months, and slowly I realized. Maybe I wasn't just surviving, I was designing a future. And that, my friends, was the first step in closing the circle. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Comment below, what would you have done if you were left with nothing but a crumpled $20? And if you're enjoying this story, give it a like, it really helps the channel. By the time I stepped into Everline Freight, I had learned how to read the world in systems, data, and structure. Chaos was no longer a threat, it was a puzzle. I thrived on organizing, optimizing, and building things others overlooked. Every late night at the diner, every spreadsheet I sketched on napkins, had prepared me for this. Then came the day my past arrived. Leah Avery. My sister, the one whose every word and smile had once overshadowed me. Now standing on my threshold as a potential employee. The HR manager, oblivious to history, presented her as a strong candidate with 3 years in PR logistics. For a heartbeat I thought I misheard. But no, the familiar rhythm of her confident heels confirmed it. She had walked into my world, the very one I'd built from scratch. I didn't look up. My office was quiet except for the soft patter of rain, the kind that seems to echo your heartbeat. Schedule her for Tuesday, I said evenly, my voice calm but steady. No tremor. No hint of the storm inside. Tuesday arrived with the same rain, steady and unyielding. Leah entered, polished, composed, and carrying the air of entitlement she'd been raised with. She didn't recognize me, of course not. To her, I was a stranger wearing success like armor. Maya introduced me formally, unaware of the tension tightening the space between us. This is Miss Scarlett Avery, founder and CEO. The words landed like thunder in her mind. Recognition flickered in her eyes, but she masked it quickly. I listened as she recited rehearsed achievements, project management skills, leadership under pressure, polished sentences, practice tones. But when I asked her about a time she faced conflict, her confidence faltered. Well, at my last company there was a staff dispute. I had to enforce fairness, make sure everyone got what they deserved. Fairness. That word. I repeated it, soft, deliberate, like a bell tolling in an empty cathedral. Fairness. What does it mean to you? Her eyes wavered. It means giving everyone the same chance. Everyone. Good, I replied. Because that's the only thing we build here, fairness. The rest of the day passed in quiet observation. Her nervous movements, careful, deliberate, reminded me of the girl I used to be. Folding chairs, rain-soaked acceptance letters, nights of hunger and fear. Yet she was trying. Really trying. Not for applause, not for recognition, just to step into the rules of this new world. By the time she left, the storm outside had softened. I touched the framed $20 bill on the wall. Once it had marked rejection, failure, and abandonment. Now it symbolized resilience, growth, and the life I had built. I let the phone ring when it was Mom calling. 1 ring, 2 rings, then silence. The rain and city hum replaced her voice. For the first time in years, silence didn't sting. Felt like release. I had created my boundaries, and for the first time I wasn't defined by anyone else's choices. That evening, watching the city lights blur through the rain-streaked window, I realized something. Revenge wasn't about destruction. It wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about building something undeniable, something that no one could take away. And that was exactly what I had done. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Comment below, what would you have done if the person who once overshadowed you walked into your office? And if you're enjoying this story, give it a like, it really helps the channel. The morning Leah walked into my office for her first day, I watched her pause in the hallway. She carried a notebook instead of pride. Hesitated as if navigating a language she once knew but had forgotten. "Thank you for giving me a chance," she whispered. I nodded, my tone even measured. "Earn it." She smiled faintly, a quiet, hesitant thing like sunlight through fog. And for the first time I realized this wasn't about vengeance. It was about boundaries. About rewriting the rules that had once held me down. I had built a life where fairness wasn't optional. Where effort, integrity, and skill determined your place. And now she would learn that lesson. Inside she stumbled at first. Misplaced folders, tentative questions, hesitations in tone. I watched without interfering, letting the silence guide her. I saw the moments she faltered, recognized the echoes of the girl who had once basked in parental attention, who had never known what it meant to be overlooked. But she tried. Every small effort counted, and I let it. By midday she started to adjust. Her confidence grew, but it was tentative, earned, not given. I didn't offer forgiveness, didn't apologize for the past. Instead, I gave structure, rules, and expectation. Leadership built on fairness. No favoritism. No shortcuts. Just clarity and opportunity. And slowly she rose to meet it. Later, when the office emptied, I stood at my window, tracing the rain streaks like the scars of my own past. The wristband, the $20, the framed company logo, they were reminders of a journey from neglect to autonomy, from being unknown to defining my own worth. I had reclaimed everything they had tried to take from me: dignity, purpose, and power. I picked up the $20 bill, delicate under glass, and reflected. Once it had marked abandonment. Now it symbolized the open doors I had built for myself. Unknown address was no longer who I was. I had roots, a company, a life I designed on my terms. The debts of neglect had been paid, not with rage, but with perseverance, intelligence, and resolve. That weekend, I returned to Bloomington for the first time in 5 years. The town had shrunk in memory, the streets narrower, yet familiar. I placed a small bouquet on the bus stop bench where I had first started alone, alongside the framed $20. "This is where they ended me," I whispered. "And where I began." The rain pattered against the metal roof, soft and steady. It no longer sounded like cruelty. It sounded like renewal. And as I turned to leave, dawn broke over the street, pale gold spilling over the asphalt. Everyone deserves a future, even those who were told they didn't. Even those who thought they could take it from you. I had built mine. And this time I controlled the doors. If this story found you, share it. Tell me where you're listening from. Comment your thoughts. Would you have given the one who hurt you a second chance? And if this story inspired you, give it a like. It really helps the channel grow.